guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's best comics of the week, and I'm in a different area. I am sorry guys, my computer crashed this week, so that means I do not have my editing software I usually use. So I decided to, I guess, make it easier on myself in some regards, because I can't cut the beginning and ending of the video using my tripod, to just use my phone, and that means I don't have my microphone that I usually use for these videos, and I can't edit these videos this week, so you won't be seeing any pictures from the comics this week, but that will be hopefully settled by next week, and we'll be back in business. Also, that means for the viewers pick of the week, I can't showcase the comments, so we're gonna have to skip the viewers pick of the week for this week, but still let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week, so next week I can add the viewers pick of the week. Now, let's get into this episode. I actually have a lot of comics to talk about this week. There's actually a lot of big releases here. So, number 14 for me, and if you guys don't know, this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best week of the week. Also forgot to mention, before I jump into these comics, I have a Kickstarter coming up for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter, that has a crossover with the book Haunting. Like Father, Like Daughter is about a high school girl whose father left her to become a full-time superhero, and everyone in the world loves him except for her, and then she inherits his abilities. And Haunting's about a boy who has these ghosts following him. That's kind of his abilities, and he does not want to deal with it. So we really have a central theme of responsibility here. It's a high school Halloween dance. It's a lot of fun, new reader friendly. So hopefully you guys could go check that out. That is May 24th, and I will have the link so you guys could follow that in the description below and the comments, because if you follow it, there are early bird specials and all that fun jazz. Now, let's get into the episode. Number 14 for me is Spider-Woman issue 12. I hope this is not backwards. I apologize if it is. It looks like it's on my side. So hopefully when it's uploaded, it's not backwards. Or if it is, we're just going to have to deal with that. But yes, going into Spider-Woman. So yeah, I was disappointed to see this so low because I really enjoyed last issue and the cliffhanger of last issue with Roger. And this one we definitely focus more on the exposition of the Sword Brothers, which I really wasn't as interested in. And the stuff with Roger and Jessica was a little disappointing. We get to see a very abrupt breakup. And I know, you know, that's where Roger's thoughts was heading, but we go from one page where it's her fighting the brothers, and then the next she's sitting with Roger, and that all happens. And I felt like there wasn't really a lead up there. Structure-wise, I actually thought there was like missing pages. I'm like, what did I miss here? So I was a little disappointed with this issue. I mean, it's nice to get some drama, but I'm not a huge fan of the plot, so that made it a little difficult for the more somber moments of this issue. So I gave this 2 stars, and that is number 14. All right, we are moving on to number 13, which is probably one of the bigger books that came out this week, and that is X-Corp issue 1. And this issue, we get to see the corporation with Angel and Monet and a couple of other X-Men, like Multiple Man is also in the cast here. And, you know, this was introduced in Jonathan Hickman's run issues ago, and they got a spin-off for this book, and I didn't quite love it. You know, I wasn't extremely excited for this one just because I'm not a huge fan of any of these characters, and I think that's a big reason to pick up these X-Men titles is if you like the team, and that's definitely a big selling point. And this was a lot of mumbo-jumbo corporation stuff, and it was really dialogue heavy. There wasn't a lot of action in this one, so I thought it was very slow. And it goes back to how many X-Men titles we have. There's just so many of them. You have to pick and choose. Was this a necessary X-Men title? I don't know. So I'm probably not going to get the next issue. I'd rather try out the second issue of Way of X than this one. But yeah, it just kind of wasn't my thing. So I'm going to give that one 2 stars. Also, the artwork was just kind of bland for me as well. There just wasn't any wow moment with this book for me. So like I said, giving that 2 stars, and that is number 13. Moving on to number 12. And number 12 for me, I am disappointed to see this low because I was really looking forward to this issue, and I liked the first issue. And that is Silver Coin issue 2. And Silver Coin, like I said, I liked the first issue, and with this one, it was Final Girl, slasher story, Kelly Thompson, all things I love. And I was like, oh, I'm going to really enjoy this issue. But I actually felt like a one-shot was too little to tell this story. Like, I wanted to learn more about the main girl. The coin wasn't really involved that much in this issue. I felt like it was a little bit more hidden. And there's some parts that just kind of felt a little bit too generic just because you only had the one shot to tell this full story that I feel like had a little bit more to say. So I was a little disappointed. I even thought the twist, which I won't spoil, saw it coming. It's hard to reinvent the wheel of a wheel that has been reinvented so many times. Horror, and especially the slasher genre, is something that we're always seeing recreated in a different way. And obviously, like with Scream or Get Out. And we've had so many different versions of these horror slasher movies. So I was a little disappointed with this one. Art was good though, and still looking forward to seeing where the rest of the series goes, but I like that first chapter a little bit more. Now, moving into number 11, and that is Batman Urban Legends issue 3. So this series is a little difficult to review because it is an anthology book, and there are stories that are just continuous. So the reason I'm picking this up is I love the Jason Todd story going on right now with Chip Zdarsky. It's been absolutely phenomenal, that story. And I love the Bat family, so I like saying, oh, okay, Oracle's in this story, Stephanie Brown's in this story, Tim Drake's in this one. So it's an easy book to pick up if you're a hardcore Batman fan or you just like the Bat family. But we do have stories like The Outsiders and Grifter, where there's been multiple issues of them, and I didn't really like the first part, so it was a little harder to get into those stories. Outsiders is done, but Grifter's still going on. But it is nice that that second story is always traded off to something else, so you do get something different every time. Well, first of all, like I said, Jason Todd was great. I love this kind of reversal Robin story of, like, what do you do with this kid who has lost his parents? Like, well, we're not gonna make him Robin or anything, but let's try to figure that out. And I like, obviously Jason and Batman's dynamic and how different they are to tackle things. So I really enjoyed that. Also very pleasantly surprised by Lady Shiva's story because I didn't really know what that was going to be about. And with this one, it was about Cassandra, and I'm a hardcore Cassandra fan. So I was like, cool. Like, it was nice to see kind of this motherly story with her and her see that Cassandra is happy, which we're going to talk about Cassandra a little bit later in this review as well. So overall, I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. I thought the first two stories were really good, and it's nice that they're a little longer. So even if, let's say, you didn't like the third story, you do have almost a full issue of Jason Todd, or almost a full issue of Lady Shiva. So you can really pick and choose which ones you like. It's not my favorite format, but it's nice to get these stories. Otherwise, maybe we wouldn't be able to get if they were individual stories. So I'm giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 12. I'm sorry, that was number 11. Moving on to number 10, which is Silk, issue 3. I actually thought this was the best issue thus far. They're all kind of middle ground for me, but I like it when it has to do with her personal life. And we get to see that here, and her dealing with her new therapist, and her figuring out her own self-care, which is helping people, and how that involves her journalism life. And the stuff I really enjoy with this book, like I said, is everything but the superhero stuff. And I think that it's because the author is a YA novelist, so the YA stuff is really good. The superhero stuff is very touch and go for me. But I liked her interaction with the main villain and her knowing she was Silk. It brought a little bit more of that personal touch to the story. And the artwork is pretty solid as well. I think it works for this book. And, I'm just enjoying the interactions and seeing Cindy as a whole and just seeing her again, even if it's just a mini-series. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which is Fantastic Four, issue 32. I was torn on this issue because there's stuff I really liked. I love the Grimm family going out to celebrate Alicia's statue of Dr. Doom, learning a little bit more about Dr. Doom's army, I guess. We have one character in particular. The love triangle stuff I liked and disliked. I enjoyed, seeing Lyra again. That was cool. I don't know if I need the unnecessary soulmate drama. I'm still, feeling out Sky's character, so to have this love triangle, I don't know. But the pieces with the love triangle are interesting. With Alicia, I know that's weird to say that she's involved, but I like this very foreshadowing tease that she might be puppet master or taking up the reins of puppet master, because she was controlling Lila's statue there, and we know that they have a past. So I thought that was really cool. I didn't really quite love the whole Doctor Doom proposal and then the added drama of Johnny sleeping with this person. It felt very rushed to me, and the Doctor Doom thing definitely came out of left field, even though we knew he was getting married. I'm like, where did this come from? So that's what I mean of this love triangle drama. I feel like there's just drama for the sake of drama, and there's not like a lot of organic threads there. But it'll be interesting. I really like that secondary story actually with Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom, where Doctor Doom is having like a chess match in live action form and asks Mr. Fantastic to be his best man, because why not? They're friends, I guess. They're frenemies. So I'm interested to see where this wedding goes. I don't know if I love all the pieces, and there's some times where the artwork could be stronger. But overall, I'm interested, and I'm glad that they're doing something big with the Fantastic Four to hopefully make more people jump into the franchise and in this run in particular. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is 7 Secrets, issue 8, I believe, actually. Issue 8. This was better than the last issue, but also, not a ton happens. Like, we definitely get a little information about the first secret, or the first secret revealed, and I really enjoyed the concept of the 1% being able to leave, and in Switzerland of all places disappearing. I thought was very interesting, but it takes a little while to get that information. It's very scattered throughout the issue, and it's a bit more of a bombastic issue of everyone reacting to the secret coming out. And also intercutting between Amon's character as well, and there being this mole. There was a lot happening all at the same time. The way it was paced, it didn't really feel as cohesive as it usually does. Artwork is amazing for this book. Again, I do love how anime influenced it is, and even this issue felt that. Every issue feels like an anime episode, which is really cool. And like I said, I do think this issue picked up a bit more, but I want to get back to the characters a bit and hear their voices again, because that's stuff I really like about 7 Secrets. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is American Vampire 1976, issue 8. This is actually a bit higher than I think the previous issues have been. Really picked up. I really enjoyed this issue of Skinner and seeing Skinner have this kind of existential life crisis. When he was younger, he wanted to die. He wanted to know what it felt like to die. And now that he's kind of getting closer to that and having to make a decision of, do I do the right thing? What is the right thing? How do I save the world? Is it worth it? And what's my relationship with Pearl as well? That all kind of comes into an introspective head, and I really like that, and that's where I think American Vampire is at its best, when it focuses on character, and this issue did a great job at that. There are some slower parts when it got to the villain aspect of the story, but I really like Skinner's voice and where we're heading for this finale, the finale of the whole series, so very excited for that. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is DC's Festival of Heroes issue 1. And I was really looking forward to this and really enjoyed the issue, where we get some, what I really liked about this, A, celebrating Asian heroes and Asian creators, but B, seeing characters we actually don't get the spotlight for very often. And I think that's the thing I really, really, really enjoyed about this, and why I think it's different than some of the other anthologies we've had before, and why I didn't like those maybe as much, like Joker or Catwoman. Like we get stories with them all the time. Cassandra, Connor Hawke, Grace Choi. Like, these are characters we don't get very often, and sadly we don't get very often, or they're secondary characters somewhere. So it's really nice to hear their voice. And honestly, I would say mostly every story kind of hit it out of the park for me. There wasn't many stories where I'm like, oh, I was a little bored with that, you know? I thought really every story had a heart, and it made me learn more about a character or see a different side of a character, or have things I didn't expect I wanted, like Connor Hawke and New Superman teaming up. You know, it was a team up I never saw coming, but it worked with their different personalities. And I thought opening with Cassandra was really smart, and it just drew me in from there. I loved Cassandra's story, where we get to see her talk about words and what that means to her, and how she relates to other people without using words. And I just thought that was brilliantly written. And Grace Choi, you know, a very Black Lightning-esque story, like the TV show, kind of reminded me a lot of that. And just seeing their dynamic was a lot of fun. So yeah, there's just a lot of cool stories. We also have a new character, Monkey Prince, that's introduced here, and it definitely gives promise that we'd get to see a little bit more of him. And the idea that he hates superheroes was very interesting, and I'm excited to see how he's going to be ingrained into the DC universe. But I thought this was a really well-rounded anthology, and you know, excited, and hopefully we'll see something more in the future with this, or at least see more of these characters in the DC universe. And I got my Cassandra Cain cover, so giving that 4 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on, yeah, that was number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Mighty Morphin issue 7. And this issue packs a lot of information in a good way. We get to see this kind of utopian world with Zed and putties helping out the world. And at that point, okay, if the villain, you know, Lord Zed, is a hero, what does that mean for our Power Rangers? Are they even needed? And there's this kind of like bigger question of that, and I really enjoyed that, and obviously how Matt is involved with that story, and I guess bringing peace on Earth, but is it really peace? And how that also connects to Zordon's past as well, and I thought that was connected really well. And yeah, you know, there's a lot of action in this issue, and these bigger themes are spread out with smaller moments, but it really worked in this issue, and I'm really enjoying this story and just seeing where the mythos of Power Rangers is going. So giving that 4 stars. Also, artwork is really solid for this book too, and like I said, there's a good balance of action and thematics in this one, even character development. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 5. I'm surprised to see this in my top 5. I'm happy to see this in my top 5, and that is The Amazing Spider-Man King's Ransom issue 1. So this is a special. It's pretty much a continuation of The Amazing Spider-Man, so if you've been reading that series, you should pick this up because it has a lot to do with that series. So with this one, I actually thought it was very cohesive, and it wrapped up stories. I couldn't believe it, and I was very happy to see it, and that's why it's in my top 5. You know, I really enjoyed the Boomerang twist in the end, where he isn't a good guy anymore, but he seems sad about it, and I thought that was really well done. I liked all the new Avengers references throughout, and Spider-Man's friendships and relationships with his team members. I mean, I could take or leave the Kingpin aspect of the story, but it actually worked. I thought everything was very cohesive. Even some of the Kindred drops here felt cohesive enough, and I just felt like it told a full story, which I haven't gotten in a while. Even they dealt with the J. Jonah Jameson stuff. A lot of things were actually wrapped up and connected to Spider-Man. I feel like Peter Parker hasn't been a lead of his own series in a while, so that was also a nice twist, is how we got to see more Peter Parker. Artwork was also pretty consistent, even though we had 3 different artists. There wasn't any jarring differences here. So overall, I'm going to give that 4 stars. I was pleasantly surprised, and I really enjoyed the new Avengers team up, and I also really enjoyed Boomerang's relationship with Spider-Man here, and that really is what made it go to my top 5 this week. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is The Joker issue 3, and man, another good installment. This is a little slower, but in a good way. We have this introspective story of Jim Gordon just saying, this is what the Joker is all about, and this is as he goes to try to hunt the Joker, and he finds the Joker, And the Joker's like, all right, I didn't do anything in Arkham Asylum. We're gonna team up. And Jim's like, what? Because he's like in his mind all ready to get the Joker, you know. He's done this all to me. I've gotten him figured out. And by the end of the issue, he's like, no, you don't have everything figured out. And he is chaotic. And now you're buddies with him. And I thought that was really interesting. And also just seeing the Bat family woven into the story was really well done too. And the creepiness of the artwork from the Court of Owls character, the woman, and some of her facial expressions were haunting in a good way, to just some of the flashbacks of Killing Joke. I just thought it was a very solid issue, and I've been really loving the series. Haven't really read the Punchline back up, if I'm being honest. It's just not my thing, but if you want to read the Punchline stuff, that is there as well. So giving that number 3, and that's 4 stars. Moving on to number 2, which is Justice League The Last Ride, issue 1. I'm not usually one to pick up miniseries like this just because I'm like, okay, what is it going to do? But a creator definitely could bring me to pick up a miniseries. And Chip Zdarsky, as I was mentioning about Jason Todd and a lot of his other stuff, I've been loving his work. Daredevil, Stillwater, he's just been on a ball with his writing, and especially this year. And with this, I was like, all right, let's see what this is all about. The Justice League's last adventure. And I really enjoyed it. I thought, we got some kind of like Justice League, the anime series vibes. We got some moments between Clark and Lois and in the team. But at first, something I didn't like is what I really loved about this issue. So Batman and Superman are in this fight, and we don't know why. I'm like, oh man, we're missing a beat. Why is it not being revealed? But I like that they did reveal it in this issue. If they didn't reveal it in this issue, I think I would have still been frustrated. But once we get to the end, it's all worth it, because we find out the reason they fought is because John Jones died, and it was supposedly Superman's fault, and Batman blames him, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And then the bigger topic is that the Green Lantern Corps might take over kind of Justice League duties at this point, which is also really interesting. And will this actually be the last adventure of the Justice League? And why aren't the Justice League needed anymore? So there was a lot of interesting stuff here. The artwork was also really good for this, and just felt really classic, the story, and it had a really good Elseworld feel to it. Doing something very similar to what we've seen before, but with little tweaks that made it different enough to make this a fun adventure. So definitely picking up that issue too, and I enjoyed this premiere issue and giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to my number 1 pick, which is Peter Parker, The Amazing Shutterbug, issue 1. As you saw, I did not pick up Heroes Reborn issue 2, but I did say I was going to pick up a couple of tie-ins, and I'm really happy I did with this one, because again, like, these tie-ins, especially because they're one-shots, they could just be fun one-shots. Especially with this one, you really don't need to read Heroes Reborn to enjoy this issue. It's just a one-off what-if tale. And I really enjoyed the twists and turns here. Kind of had a SpiderMan life story twist to it, where we get to see Peter was never bitten by the spider. How does that change his character, and what does that mean for his destiny? And we see that Aunt May dies because of Hyperion, and why he becomes a photographer, and how he still becomes a hero, and that responsibility, even though he doesn't want it, and doesn't want it for different reasons, and how he takes on that responsibility. And I really liked all the twists and turns, but also the highlights of stuff we knew, like Flash Thompson's bullying. This really great moment between Peter talking to Mary Jane, but he's not actually talking to Mary Jane, and how his confidence is different, how his view on life is different because that one moment didn't happen. How Ben, I loved Ben in this issue, giving him the pep talks, and how that relationship changed, and obviously his relationship with Aunt May. It was just really good. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, it just kind of celebrated the character in a different way, and kind of put him inside out, which was really cool and different, and something we hadn't seen. And how do you make a superhero story when he's not really a superhero? I will say the only reason this didn't get 5 stars is the ending was a little, not confusing, but I guess, him jumping out the window. It's like, I'm a hero, and I thought that was a little rushed, just slightly. I think that could have been a little better explained. of the, him being connected to this bug thing. That could have been weaved into the issue a little bit more. But I love the classic style of artwork here and the brightness of the book and just Peter's voice and everyone's voice and the slight differences that were made here to make a really interesting story. So I gave this 4.5 stars, and that is my pick of the week. But in the comments below, guys, let me know what was your pick of the week. And next week, I'll have the viewers' pick of the week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Definitely go check out that Kickstarter I mentioned for like Father, Like, Daughter, and The Haunting. Go check out my Twitter and Facebook. Go check out my comics like Father, Like, Daughter, and They Call Their Dancer. And every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is Comic Book Weekly, where we discuss our favorite comics and comic book news. Thanks, guys. Bye.